Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome to another Here's the Storm discussion video. In today's video, in fact, let me refresh this page. Here we go. We're going to be talking about this post, which is cropped up on the front page of Reddit, and I think it's quite controversial. And it's talking all about skill levels and how they're perceived, and some of the sort of the trash talking that goes on between, let's say, skill levels. So again, this is the title of this Reddit post. You'll find the link in the description. Here's the link up here if you want to go to it. And it's linking to this video over here. Again, here's the name of the video. Here's the content creator and all that in the link. And you find that in the description of this video as well. Basically what he's doing in this video is he's talking about all the different tiers. This is a League of Legends video, but it also applies to Heroes of the Storm. And he's talking about, like, well, what constitutes a good player? Like, are players in Platinum good? Are players in Diamond good? Or are they, like, trash? And I think this is something that comes... we're going to talk a lot about the sort of subjectiveness of perceiving things. And that, when you've got a lot of, let's say, pro-level streamers, from the perspective of pro-level streamer, they probably are trash, and that, that becomes maybe a dominant voice in the community. I thought there was a really interesting comment down here, which is a top-rated comment, which sort of maybe summarizes, like, the sort of perspective that emerges in the community, when you have all, like, sort of like these streamers and these pro players, and they're sort of informing how things are viewed, which is that, bronze, silver, gold, platinum are all trash. Then Diamond 5 is bronze, Diamond 4 is silver, Diamond 3 is gold, Diamond 2 is platinum, Diamond 1 is diamond, and then Master and I suppose Challenger is something along the lines of Grandmaster. The very rough correlations, I suppose, between the two games, the two systems. Again, there's interesting discussions sort of going on over here on this post as well, and you might want to go check it out yourselves and see what they're saying on this post. But what I want to do in this video is talk about my perspective on it, because I think definitely, even within my own streams and videos and such, that I have definitely fallen into this mindset sometimes, and I want to kind of break it down and talk about skill and what's going on. Basically, the argument that this guy makes in this video is that yeah, like the average player in League of Legends he's talking about is silver. That's sort of the average rank, and that, sure, if you're in bronze, then you're worse than the average, and if you're in silver, you're about average, and then you get to gold, you're just about above average, and then platinum and diamond can be quite substantially above average. And he's sort of saying, well, then you know what, if you're in, like, let's say, diamond, you really shouldn't be considered trash. You're actually a very good player, all things considered. You'd be maybe in the top, I don't know, a few percentage points or something of the people playing. And it's sort of similar with Heroes of the Storm. I think, again, most players fall into the bronze, silver range in Heroes of the Storm. Then gold would be that little bit above average. And then platinum and diamond, again, quite a bit above average. And then master and grandmaster at the top, I suppose. Though, I suppose with the current rank system, I'll talk about this in another video, but there sometimes there isn't a very good correlation between MMR and the actual rankings, but we'll come back to that at another time. It's a topic for another video. But yeah, that's sort of the argument he goes with. I want to give you my perspective on it, and why. You'll have seen me, if you've watched my streams, you'll have seen me, like, calling people, in Diamond 2, Diamond 1, even Master or Grandmaster sometimes, trash, and that it's painful to play with them. And I want to explain why. This is my profile here, just to put it in perspective. This is my current Hero League MMR, so we're about 3,400. Let's hop over here to the leaderboard. Just to give you, again, sort of an idea for the MMR spread. You can see the number one player at the moment is Darkmock, who's a pro player from my Insanity. He's at 4,300. He's almost 1,000 MMR ahead of me. He's very much better than I am. If you go down, like, this first 100 players, so the top 100 players in the game, you go down to 3,766 here. So, there's quite a drop-off. There's quite a range of MMRs within the top 100 players. And honestly, I got to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure exactly how much skill difference this MMR represents, though I do think it does nonetheless represent, a fairly, I think, a fairly broad sort of skill difference. Also, I think it's quite interesting that the majority of players in this sort of top range have quite a lot of games played. Was there someone there with 200? Did I see that? 900? I think 600? Is that one of the lowest? There's someone with 300 somewhere. But for the most part, someone here with 300. Sonic LaBeast has 300 games played. But most of the players right here, 400, have an awful lot of games played, which is kind of interesting. Just a little side note. I would fall down, I think I checked, and I'm about here, page 4, I would be. I thought it was kind of funny, I'm here at the same rank, roughly speaking, and so the top, like, 400 players as a Grossman, which is an awesome name. I thought that was awesome. And then I think, quite appropriately, slightly worse than Fluffy Pony. That's not. I want my account to be called Fluffy Pony. We're rebranding. We're rebranding everyone. But yeah, my perspective. That's sort of the sort of situation here. By the way, the master goes leaderboard goes down. There's about 1,800 people in it, and it goes down to about 3,100 MMR. Again, this is just bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master. This is Hot Slogs, which is an external site, and this is the system they use to calculate stuff. And let me just, it doesn't correspond strictly at all to the rank system within the game. For example, I've seen plenty of people within Master, even high up in Master. For example, myself, I haven't quite hit Grandmaster yet within the game, yet I've seen people who are Diamond MMR, that is like about 3k, maybe even less than 3k MMR, which is a measurement of your skill, how you perform in comparison to other players having achieved Grandmaster, but that's a topic for another video. Let's hop over here to my match history. I picked out this game because this game stood out to me. We did this on stream. As you can see, it's a very short game. It was a complete stomp. At the time this was recorded, I was at 3,400. If you look at the average MMRs of the team, they're quite substantially lower. And then if we look within my team here, what you can see, you got myself at 3,400. Then we had another guy about the same sort of MMR, so about the same skill level, this guy, Clank. Then we had a 2,900, about 3,000 player. We had 2,800, about 2,900 player, and a 2,700 player. And my experience of this game was, I halfway through the game, I just had my head in my hands, and I was kind of going, I for the first time in like over how many games have I played? Is my profile still here? Over 1,000 games played in the game. I was just like, I don't want to even play this anymore. I just want to stop. Like, this is so painful. This is hurting me so badly in my soul. Like, I just don't even want to play. I feel just helpless and frustrated and miserable, and it's a terrible experience. And why was that? Well, it was because, like, it was just our carry heroes were just substantially weaker, and it was substantially lower than what I was expecting. And then that disconnect between the skill level of the players and my expectation of what the skill level would be, I was just like, these guys are feeding their talent builds, like this talent build right here and stuff, was just, it was driving me nuts, and I couldn't hack it. They were just like face palming into structures and dying, and it was a terrible experience. I was like, I have never been in such a bad game. This is just killing me. Let's go off this. I don't want anyone to, obviously don't like send nasty messages or anything, because that would be bad. Don't do that. That's mean. But yeah, it was a painful game. It was a painful game. I think, within MMR, roughly speaking, I think you're really looking at, let's say, a sort of 200 MMR differential either way. So for me here, let's say going into this game, 3,400, I was kind of going into it expecting that the sort of players would be going on my team and going up against on the enemy team as well. Hopefully it would be a balanced, I mean, like in terms of average MMRs, it was a very balanced game in terms of the skill levels and the hero level. Like in terms of the skills, both teams were evenly matched. It's just that within the evenly matched teams, there's this huge differential in terms of the skill of the individual players involved. You can see on the enemy team, it was a much more consistent team. Whereas ours had a couple of high players and then three, let's say, lower, two higher players, one sort of at the level player, and then two lower players, and then the enemy team had sort of it was one lower player and then sort of three at the level or slightly above the level players of the average MMR. But yeah, going into a game, I'd be expecting, let's say, about a 200 MMR range either side. I'd be expecting to play with people from about 3,200 to 3,600 in my particular games, as being a fairly balanced game that, within the sort of 200 range to either side, that the players would be, relatively similarly skilled. And now I think if you went into a game with if I went into a game with a 3,600 player and a 3,200 player, and indeed that's happened several times, you can definitely, like, I personally can definitely, most of the time, you can quite quickly tell the difference and tell which is which, and you kind of go, okay, like, it might not be 100% perfect, because sometimes people play out of their minds, sometimes people play terribly, that's just what happens. MMR isn't perfect. You could be having a good day or a bad day, and whatever, or be on a good hero or a bad hero for you, just the way the draft or your day is working out. But most of the time it's fairly accurate, and you can tell fairly quickly. I'd notice a difference between a 3,600 and a 3,200 player. But they'd still be fairly close in terms of each other's skill, and in terms of then my skills somewhat in the middle of that. That I go into that and feel pretty good about the game and how it's going. So obviously that's my expectation, is that sort of at the minimum end, I'd be sort of looking at 3,200, or I mean, even reasonably speaking, that someone who falls under the quote unquote master tier, so 3,100 would sort of be like the bottom end of what I'm expecting. Now obviously I went into this game at the bottom end, we had 2,700, which is 400 more below the sort of the bottom end of what I was expecting going into it. And then let's say 500 more below sort of the range I'd be hoping for and really expecting to be matched with. And that's very it's very soul destroying, because you obviously, very importantly, going into a game, you don't have this information going into a game. You just get match made into a game. You see, I think these guys were like Diamond 2 or Diamond, they might even have been Diamond 1, I don't even know, I don't remember. But like, that's all the information you have going into the game. Then you get into the game and you're expecting like, okay, they're Diamond, they're Diamond 2, okay, maybe they're like 3k or more or something, and then they play the 2,800, 2,700 level, and your expectations are just shot, and you just feel miserable. You're like, oh my god, this is an awful game, they're playing absolutely terribly. Of course, the perception of how well they're playing, now this is obviously, let's say, I mean, 3,000, this is like in the top 2,000, if like these guys are probably, I don't know, let's say up to 3k, up to the average MMOR of this game, they're all within, let's say roughly speaking, the top 2,000 players in the game, and there's probably over 1 million players or something on the EU server. So compared to most people, they're well within like the top percentile of players. But then from the perspective of 3,400, there's a very large differential between basically what you expect at 3,400 and what you actually see at like 3,000. There's a very large differential. And this comes back to this sort of idea as well, and that MMOR really does matter. And I'd even say this as well, that I'm sitting here at whatever 3,400, like people up here like at 4,000 and stuff. When they go in a game with me, they probably think I'm terrible. I don't have any problem admitting that. Like if you put me in a game with like 5 of these guys on a team against 4 of these guys plus me on a team, like I would be feeding. They'd be picking on me. They'd probably realize quite quickly, but like, whoa, this Nubkeks guy, he's actually not that good. Let's take advantage of this. Let's exploit it. And we'd lose the game more than likely. Like they probably take quite a lot of advantage of me because they're better. There's no two ways about it. They are. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sitting here at 4k and more, and I'd be sitting at 3.4. That just wouldn't happen. And I've lost my train of thought. Oh, sorry. This is where this comes from. That within there's even within the top like 500 players, there's this very large skill differential, and but the population density is smaller. So that, let's say within a silver and gold, there's an awful lot of players. Whereas within this, you start seeing, because there's fewer players, but the skill is very diverse nonetheless. That's where you get this sort of perception from. And like, even like personally, this is something that I would feel going into a game. It's sort of how I feel. Obviously, it's not true, but it's how you feel going into a game. Like when I'm looking at that loading screen and I see like, okay, it's a bunch of grandmasters or masters, I'm like, all right, should hopefully be a decent game. If I go into it and it's like a bunch of like Diamond 1s or Diamond 2s, I haven't seen a Diamond 3 in the longest time, but like if it's a bunch of Diamond 2s, I kind of go, oh shit, this is going to be a terrible game. This is not going to be good. We're going to get a game on the lines of this Cursed Hollows games where it's just the matchmaker has panicked or freaked out or malfunctioned, I don't even know what, and it's put in some absurd MMOR ranges into a particular game, and it's gonna be horrible. Your expectations of what people can do are going to be completely at odds with what they can do, and it's just not going to be a fun game for anyone involved. And that's where this comes from. And like, I've had people comment on videos and stuff, like sometimes in some of the videos, and this is something I really want to cut down on. Like I do it too much, just get into this mindset, and I really want to stop. Which is, they'd be like, well, you're saying that guy was really bad, but, he played that hero pretty well. I kind of go, well, sure, he maybe played it to a Diamond 3 level, or whatever. Like, he played it to let's say he played it to a 3.2k MMOR level, or whatever, or Okay, now let's go for this match. Let's say he played it to like a 3,100 M more level, like the, whatever. He played Jaina to this particular level, you know, and you say, well, hey, you know, 3,100 M or more Jaina, that's pretty damn good. And I'm kind of sitting there going, like, well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, but like, I'm kind of hoping and I'm looking for people to be hopefully playing at the level that I'm at. They'll be playing at like a 3,400 M more level, so that from the perspective of 3,400, you know, 3,100 is pretty bad. Or again, I made a video a while ago where he played with JPL, who is, I presume, somewhere here. I don't know. Is he? Yeah, here he is. Okay, so he's a 3,800 player. And he was like, I talked about that video where we had like a Jaina who was like about 2,800. So there's a 1,800, 1,000, sorry, and more differential between JPL and that Jaina. And he was like, he was upset in that game. And I was upset because he was like, oh my God, like our carries don't know how to carry. Because from his perspective, these guys are terrible. Like he's used to playing with, you know, these 4,000 and more guys. He probably thought I sucked as well because I'm only 3,400 and he's 3,800. He was probably like, God, this Nubkeks guy sucks too. And that's fine. I can live with that. Like we should not have, you know, they should not have put that broad and MMR range within a game. It's just bad. But I want to sort of explain that and kind of go through it so that, you know, when you hear me saying there people are terrible, you might be going, well, they're not playing terrible. Like they're actually playing pretty damn well. And like, you know, objectively compared to most players, you know, that's completely true. You know, obviously it's what he's saying in this video. And I suppose what he's kind of raising this discussion, Vortaz over here. And it's definitely true. But it's all about perspective as well. So like, you know, I'm kind of, I probably was in this stream saying like, oh, these guys are absolutely trash, and you're saying like, well, you know, 2,700 or 3,000, you know, that's not bad at all by any means. Like that's well above average. That's like the top, you know, few thousand players. It's pretty damn good probably. And you know, sure, that's true from an extent. It definitely is true. But then also in terms of what you're expecting in Hero League games, it's when you get matched with you know, players that are, when it exceeds, when it goes outside the boundaries of what you're expecting, when there's a big differential between your skill level and their skill level, irrespective of how that compares to the overall like a distribution of players to the overall percentile of the player base. You know, if they perform worse than you're expecting, then they could seem, it's a subjective thing. They seem trash to you. So that's sort of my perspective on this. You know, that yeah, like definitely don't diss people who are like gold or silver. Like they're not trash. It's not true. That's like, and it's just a bad way of talking. It's a perspective of like people who are in Master or Challenger. Again, it's very much informed by like these streamers and pro players and people who play this game all the time. Or people, I suppose, like me as well, are like doing a YouTube channel and stuff like that. And like really invest a lot into the game, and like from their perspective, like yes, this might be the case. That's how they perceive the game from their perspective at like Diamond 1 or Master or Challenger or somewhere within Diamond. That's how they perceive it. And you know that, you know, you're fine, but it's a very subjective thing. It's obviously not the objective judgment of how good players are, where this is obviously is not the case at all. But yeah, I just, you know, because yeah, I know some people kind of. I just wanted to try and go through this because I thought it was interesting, and this is definitely a mindset that I've fallen into in some of my games. I don't think it's a good mindset. I don't think it's pleasant, and it's something I want to improve in my gameplay and stuff as well. My commentary is definitely to avoid this stuff. And like sometimes people kind of left a few comments or stuff, and I kind of went, "Oh shit!" Like I didn't even realize I was being that harsh. Like I really do get harsh. This is really not good. I want to stop it. So I do kind of want to get to that sort of stage as a creator where it's like, whenever I say something, I want it to be something positive, you know? So I want to get past this sort of negativity. But it's sort of a subjective thing, and it's to do, again, there's a big, I have to point a finger at the matchmaker. Like, there's no way that this should happen in a Hero League game. It should not happen. And, again, you don't know what's happened, because you've got no way of knowing that this is the range that has put you in, and it shouldn't happen. There's no way. Again, the expected range should really be within, you know, 200, maybe even within 300. Like plus or minus where you're at, you know, a 700 range is just stupid. It's just stupid, and it leads to rage, and it leads to massive frustration because this is how things look, I guess. So yeah, there you go. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think, and do beware as well of this mindset. Like if you've seen it in any of my videos or if you see it in other videos, this is like the mindset that comes about when you consider the game through the perspective of, you know, people who are there, and like you see it in like forums and stuff, that people go like, oh well, you're Diamond 5, like, well, what does it matter, you suck, or you're Platinum, you suck, like, you don't know anything about the game. And that's obviously not true at all. It's not true at all. Like, you know, hey, if you're Diamond 5 or Platinum, for example, you probably have got quite a good understanding of the game, and that's okay. But yeah, there you go. I mean, I did a video recently as well, which was on oh yeah, it was how to throw. And again, in that game, in fact, I can probably find it here. It was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Was it this one? I think it was this one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, it's this one here. Right, so, yeah, this was one I did, again, so I was at 3,400, and again, I was with, like, say, the Illidan over here was 2,700, and the Tyrael was 2,900, and 2,800, 3,100, and again, like, I went through that video, and it's the how to throw video, and it's kind of talking about the decision-making and stuff, and, like, from my perspective, I was kind of breaking it down, and, like, you kind of was sort of showing why I would consider it to be bad, and, like, you know, and from the perspective of, like, 3,400, it was very bad. But obviously from maybe a lot of perspectives it wouldn't be, but hopefully that could be a good companion video to this, because like you can go through that video, and I think hopefully when I break down like an entire game, like it makes it a bit more clear in terms of the decision making stuff, like what I mean when I'm talking about this, and why, you know, how you can kind of fall into this sort of mindset. You kind of go like, hey, it sounds like you're being really harsh to these people. It's like, well, you know, when you go through a game and break it down, you kind of hopefully see where I'm coming from a little bit more. And kind of how you fall into this sort of feeling and this sort of mindset. And yeah, I thought that was an interesting, the how to throw guide. It's kind of funny, because again, like you get like the decision making, because these guys were duo queue, and again, let's say roughly a 2,700, about like 2,800 sort of decision making overall, was like, for me, kind of 3,400 was sitting there kind of going, oh my god, what's going on, this is shocking stuff, like they're making so many mistakes, it's really bad. But like, I suppose compared to, like, you know, again, compared to most players, they'd be really good and they'd probably be kicking their ass, and that's fine, that's cool. But again, it's just put into a particular game where it didn't really work out too well. Anyway, this has been pretty long. I probably rambled a lot. I don't know if this was good or it was bad. Hopefully it was interesting though. And again, here is the original thing, and then this particular video over here, which you might want to look at yourselves and kind of talk about this. Okay, present. Well, okay. But yeah, like I just want to put it in mind that it's subjective, and that, you know, when, if ever, like, I'm in a video, I'm saying like, oh, he's playing pretty badly or stuff, it doesn't mean that they're a bad player. Like, they could be very good player really overall. It's just that compared to what I would be expecting or hoping out of them, it would be pretty bad. Likewise, you might say, well, Nubkeks, you're a pretty good player. Or then maybe, you know, you're one of these top guys and you're kind of watching this video chuckling, going like, ha ha ha, Nubkeks, you actually suck. I've seen your videos. You're terrible. I don't know, maybe Breeze. I don't know anything about Breeze. I've never played with Breeze. But Breeze might watch this video and be like, ha, Nubkeks, I watched your videos. You're terrible. I could do everything you do 10 times better. And I'm sure he could. And that's fine. And I appreciate that. It's not an issue. Anyway, that's been me, guys. That's my perspective on this whole topic here. I think it's pretty controversial, so I'm curious to see what you guys think. I'll see you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm discussions, and so on and so forth. See you all then. Bye bye.